Motorcycle Adventure Dirt Bike TV, supported proudly by Adventure Spec in the UK, Rally Raid Products, Giant Loop in the United States, Adventure Moto in Australia, Pirelli Tyres, Motul Oils, RK Chains and Australian Adventure Bike Magazine.
Now that's more excitement.
Finally, as promised, the Triumph Tiger 900 Rally Pro Test. I can't think of a bike that in recent times has generated so much interest on Mad TV. The audience has just come out of the woodwork to ask a heap of questions about this bike. The start of the test is a little unusual. Clubby and I are on a mission, and we're flying down to Melbourne to Triumph Australia HQ. Clubby is picking up a Triumph 1200 Scrambler for delivery to Adventure Moto, where it's to become a prize bike. I'm picking up a Triumph 900 Tiger Rally Pro for my test. Our job is to ride them back to Sydney. Now, apologies in advance to Charlie and Ewan. Melbourne to Sydney, the long way round.
You've been running through my mind, and I've been thinking that it's just about time we get together, so come on.
Hang on, who's got what boy?
I think I should ride the white one, mate.
No, you come over here. You got
It's
this.
more like your demographic, mate.
No, mate, you got the hipster.
No, this one here.
So get away, this is fine.
I'm not shy.
Alright, we're heading to Sydney. Where's that hipster? So I'm going to do a first impressions of the bike in these first couple of kilometres. Yeah, I've only ridden the bike, 100 metres, and the thing I noticed from the previous Tiger I've ridden is the steering is more responsive. And in terms of engine, now I can already tell that mid-range is very solid, and the low to mid-range is solid. Off we go, buddy. Clubby the hipster wearing Alpine Stars and jeans. Okay, now we're nice and comfortable. Having a look, make sure we don't get taken out by a truck. Just let me get this baby going. Now, while I'm talking about getting babies going, the engine in this just goes really strong low and mid-range, and continues to have the good performance in the higher rev range as well. So a different firing arrangement has certainly made the engine more torquey and usable for dirt riding, I'd suggest. And we'll know later on in the day because we're heading up to do some dirt shortly. One of the best innovations, and I know it's a simple thing, but it's something that affects us all, and that's the windshield. the windshield can just be moved very simply up and down by this pulling handle, and it's so effective. You know, at the moment I've got it right up to get the maximum wind protection, and very easily I can just push it forward and drop it down when I get into the dirt riding. First bit of dirt. Welcome to Mirindindi Shire. Okay, so I've flicked it to Off-Road Pro mode. I think I've put it in. Still learning that. No, I haven't. Okay, I did half of it. Oh, I see. I forgot to tick it. So, putting blinkers on. Okay, so flick across. Off-Road Pro. Tick it. Okay, so traction control disabled. ABS off. Let's give this a run. Okay. Yep. Got some grunt. Now I just got to get used to the handling of this in the corners. Oh dearie me, this is going to be a lot of fun. The power of this bike is ideal for dirt riding. Just the way it comes on, it's beautiful. Goodness me. What a pleasurable engine. I can't get over what a cracking engine this is. I'll have to be careful though. I reckon I could go through a tyre in a day easy. Okay, so I got a pretty good appreciation of Rally Pro, which is just all beast unleashed. And yeah, really thrilling, gotta say. But I'm gonna go just to off-road and try that. Now, just make sure I got it. So, yeah, so off-road, tick. Let's see what that's about. The traction control is on. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so off-road gives you a little bit of slip. I could feel that straight away, even though it was in a straight road. It's noticeable. Let's just try the back. No, you can slide the back brake. Now this will be interesting going around corners. If I can punch out the back as much. No. Okay, so yeah, it just controls the slip when you're going around corners under power. Yeah. And you know what? It's not as stable as it is with Off-Road Pro, and the reason is the engine in mid-range is just so solid that there is a consistency in the power output if you're just good with the throttle. So sometimes mix-ups are really good. We're on the Broadford to Flowerdale Road, and Clubby stopped at the lookout, and I'd held back a bit, so I didn't know he was stopped off here to the left, and I just kept going. This road is like these tiny little bits of gravel and billiard table smooth. And it was a great opportunity to test out this bike for its first run in the dirt. That mid-range is just so solid, and when you combine that with the quick shifter, the magic happens. It's just sublime. And I choose my words carefully, you know. I ride a lot of high quality mid-range bikes, and that combination of off-road pro, the solid mid-range and the quick shifter, mate, that's a match made in heaven. Well, after that cracking bit of dirt, we're back on the tar. I made a bit of a blue. Clubby was at that lookout back there. So I'll switch back to road mode. So all the traction controls there for me, all the protection.
Our goal for the night was to reach Myrtleford, about 200 kilometres northeast of Melbourne as the crow flies. But we weren't crows, and Clubby's priority was either twisty blacktop or dirt. By the end of the day, we would punch out close to 350 kilometres. I was liking the Tiger. Strong features that took my attention, obviously the power dynamic of the engine that was great on the tar but even more useful in the dirt. The handling the bike, it's a wonderful, refined, highly capable dual sporter. The seated or standing positions were comfortable for those long miles, and a good deal of that comfort could be attributed to the easily adjustable screen and winglets. Switch blocks really impressed me for their simplicity and effectiveness. Cruise control was one standout. But access to rider modes, phones, connectivity was simple and intuitive. After giving it a gutful in the dirt, I wondered how the economy would fare.
So, we're at Mansfield, fueled up. 15.24 litres for 265.9 k's. Where are you taking me, leader? He's missing a man bun, but anyway. How good is this mid-range?
Mate.
4 to 6,000 comes on solid. You know, that would have to be 100-foot
I
power.
was just saying to you, how far have you carried that? How long?
Oh, it just keeps wanting to go. Yeah, it went further.
If you had more corner, it will keep going, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah.
If you didn't have to button off and square off.
Yeah.
Wow, mate.
No, fantastic engine. And the handling of the bike is very confidence inspiring. So when you're in that, because that power is coming on so strong and forceful and consistent, it sets up the handling well, and the bike's just on it. You know, you can feel it when you're standing on it. It's just on it. There's no, you know, squiggliness or anything. It's just boom, like that. It's bloody great. Beautiful country here. Great fun for exploration, great fun for adventure. On a competent bike, you know, one that you have faith in. Now, I'm not sure, I don't think all the modes you can turn on and off on the fly. Okay, going to modes. No, I can't get out of Off-Road Pro on the move. So I have to stop the bike to do that. And when I look at the tar conditions at the moment, there's patches of wet tar, and in my interest it's better to get this in the proper rider mode, which for me I think is road. So I'll just stop the bike and just quickly put that in. The great thing is, I mean, it's reasonably quick to change the rider mode. So change it. All right, off-road, tick. Okay, we're back in road mode, and I'm much happier with that. There's intermittent showers, there's bits of tar that are a bit wet, and this has the lean sensitive traction control, which can really save your bacon if you overcook it in a corner. There, so you can see that wetness there on the tar. Get a bit rougher, and I'm liking the suspension. It's nothing big in this, but there's certainly a lot of corrugations and stuff coming into corners. Braking. Yeah. One finger braking with those Brembos on the front. Like this. See how we go. Gee, the suspension's good. Yeah. No bottoming out. That's interesting. I'm happy with that. So 410 kilometres on the clock, nearly 6 hours of riding. Yeah, this bike is a good tourer. It's a great road tourer. It's very comfortable. Seated position is good. The seat is good. At first, when I got on the bike, I felt the handlebars were a bit too far away from me. But what it does is it gets you sitting upright and in a good position to ride, and it was very comfortable. TFT screen gives you all the information you want. It's clear, it's concise, and the great thing about it is that you can read the TFT screen when you're standing up, and the standing position on this bike is good. And yeah, I don't mind those handlebars feeling a little bit distant when I'm seated, because when you're standing, it puts you in the ideal standing position for my height.
Day 2, and I'm focusing on the off-road performance of the suspension today. I'm seeking out progressively rougher dirt tracks. Suspension settings are set up for my weight, and the compression and rebound of forks and rear shock are set on standard settings. It quickly became apparent the trail feel, or first 3 or so centimetres of the suspension, soaked up the small stuff beautifully. Of particular note was how well the bike coped with erosion ruts on the inside of corners, that are great tests for the subtlety and responsiveness of suspension. The bike held its line, be it braking or accelerating. It felt plush, but plush is a word that can sometimes be confused with soft. I'll confess, I expected that as the trails got tougher that I would experience bottoming out, but that was not the case. The harder I pushed this bike on erosion mounds and G-outs, the better this suspension responded. The performance of the suspension on the high-speed hits was excellent, and the front and back wheel of the bike felt balanced. I must confess that due to the flimsy nature of the bash plate, which is really just a stone guard, I didn't jump the bike, as I was concerned I would damage the sump. That said, the off-road performance of the Showa suspension was excellent and a real highlight of the bike. Whilst high-speed stability is a strength of this bike as it cuts through 6 inches of gravel, we all know that the most common get-off for an adventure rider is in the low speed and difficult stuff. I'm pleased to report this bike is responsive and poised when you have to ride it slow. The seat height is adjustable and I had it on its lowest setting, which is great to plant your feet firmly on the ground when things don't go too well. As was the case when I entered this little creek, I didn't see 2 thick sticks laying at odd angles under the water that speared me in another direction that I hadn't planned for. And next thing I know, I'm in the poo.
Get the power down. Get the
But this poo highlights the advantage of having a low seat height. I could maintain stability of the bike while I worked out how to get out of this mess. Clubby's The Long Way Around Melbourne to Sydney trip has proven to give me a pretty good insight into this bike. We've travelled a wide range of terrain typical of an Australian adventure, and to cap it off, the weather has been equally extreme, with periods of pelting rain and at times hot sun. A normal trip between the two capitals would be about 9 hours in the saddle and around 900 kilometres. We've certainly taken the long way around, the trip meter indicating 1,321 kilometres and 17.5 hours in the saddle. But the average speed says it all at 75 kilometres an hour. We certainly haven't done too much of that at high speed freeway miles.
You've been running through my mind, and I've been thinking that it's just about time we get together. Come on.
There may be a temptation for those that own or have ridden the 900's predecessor, the Tiger 800, to assume the 900 is merely a refinement of the previous model. It's not. The 900 is a complete bottom-up redesign and rebuild, and that was noticeable to me after riding merely a couple of 100 metres down the road.
Yeah, I've only ridden the bike, 100 metres, and the thing I noticed from the previous Tiger I've ridden is the steering is more responsive.
And became even more noticeable as I took the bike on tougher and more challenging terrain. There's a complete new frame and the engine has been moved forward in that frame. A smaller sump and the key reciprocating inertia of the bike, the crankshaft and with it flywheel, sit lower in the frame. Combine this lower centre of gravity with more than a degree change in steering head angle from 23.4 degrees on the Tiger 800 to a slacker 24.4 degrees on the Tiger Rally Pro 900, and in combination these two elements significantly improve low speed agility, particularly noticeable in the dirt, but it doesn't compromise its road manners. This is a strong statement by Triumph that it's chasing the dirt-oriented adventurers, and it's doing a good job. Supporting that wonderful frame geometry foundation is a solid performance suspension that, as I pushed it, proved it was wonderfully balanced both front and rear. The Showa 45mm upside down cartridge forks with 240mm of travel proved to be outstanding in a wide range of conditions. Wonderfully soft and compliant to eat up those dirt miles without riders feeling beaten up, but then when it counted and you pushed the bike hard in the tough conditions and high speed, the front end and rear suspension soaked it up. No bottoming out with a thud, the full range of the suspension could be used to its maximum benefit. Front and rear is fully adjustable for compression, rebound and preload. The rear preload can easily be altered to accommodate a pillion and has a useful 230mm of travel. A 21-inch front and 17-inch rear wheel combination caps off the dirt orientation. I'm not really fussed either way by a 17-inch rear wheel, but the 21-inch front is a must for me. It's great for attacking challenging dirt obstacles and contributes to slow speed stability.
Meanwhile, the Tiger is doing everything and more I expect of it.
You'd just be in cruiso mode, wouldn't you, today?
I am in adventure rider's heaven.
Yeah, I bet it is, mate. It's a big update, isn't it, from the old 800 that I last rode,
Huge
mate?
update,
Yeah.
huge update. So many things, the quality,
Yeah.
the build, the handling, the suspension, the engine. It just goes on, and 2022 continues to be an adventure feast for mid-range adventure bikes.
You've been running through my mind, and I've been thinking that it's just about time we get together. Come on.
It's been a while since mid-range power delivery has got me animated. But the magic of this meaty, luscious mid-range that comes on hot and strong from around 4,000 RPM, combined with quick shifter and off-road pro mode, did it for me.
Goodness me. What a pleasurable engine. I can't get over what a cracking engine this is.
All the effort to get the handling right fits hand in glove with this power delivery that shouts dirt orientation. It's a power sliding demon.
How good is this mid-range?
Mate.
4 to 6,000 comes on solid.
I've always cautioned about getting too obsessed with spec sheets. The Triumph spec sheets are a classic example of that. 94 horsepower at 8,700 RPM and 87 newton meters of torque at 7,250. There must be a mistake. It seems to have a heap more power than that. But there also is a subtlety to this power that allows for control in the tight stuff. Triumph changed the configuration of the crank and refer to it as a T, so cylinders 1 and 3 fire close together, followed by the middle or number 2 cylinder. I hate to use a Yamaha reference, but it's similar to the V-twin Super Tenere engine dynamic, for those that can remember. What it means for the rider is a very useful dirt-oriented engine that can steadily and smoothly gain traction, and I found this to be so in mud, steep climbs and rocky sections. It's an engine that loves loafing along in a taller gear and can do so all day. And if you get caught in a technical bit in a higher gear, it will cover for your mistake. The ratios of the 6-speed transmission matched the engine and were perfect for an off-road tourer, be it weaving slowly through an obstacle or highway speed. Although cable operated, I found the hydraulically activated wet assist slipper clutch was light with a clear take-up point, and the added benefit of eliminating rear wheel hop when changing down gears hard during cornering. Traction control modes add to the rider's safety and enjoyment. On the dirt, I spent the majority of time in off-road pro mode, which switched off traction control and gave me access to the full power of this wonderful engine. It also turned off the rear wheel ABS and minimised ABS on the front.
One of the things I'm really liking about this bike is the intuitive access to all the different riding modes. So I press riding mode and then I just go, I want to go to the off-road pro mode, and then that's got a tick on it, and you just go tick, and now that's in off-road pro. So that completely removes traction control and limits ABS to front wheel, but the rear wheel it's completely off. So that's a lot better than some of the other systems out there.
Off-road mode allowed me for a little bit of slip under power and still allowed me to lock the rear brake. I wasn't a fan of this setting. Frankly, I felt like it was intrusive in my ride intention. But I caution, my experience is in the dirt and I have high expectations. Recently I've ridden a number of new mid-size models and there has been a big leap in the sophistication and timely responsiveness of those systems, which is verging on intuitive and almost seamless to the rider's intent. Having said that, I appreciate off-road mode would assist many riders on dirt roads. Moving from off-road to road setting or vice versa requires the bike to be stopped to recalibrate the ABS. This is a little frustrating, particularly when you're alternating between dirt and tar, and by the end of the day I have to confess it became slightly irritating. A decent proportion of mid-size models can move between both off-road and road settings on the fly, which is now standard fare on a bike of this specification.
Put that in. The great thing is, I mean, it's reasonably quick to change the rider mode. So, change it. Alright. Off-road, tick. Okay, we're back in road mode, and I'm much happier with that.
I was really impressed with the rain mode that noticeably took the punch out of the mid-range. At times it was bucketing with large sheets of water on the road, and this mode was ideal. I've got to confess, I spent no time in race mode. I'm a useless road rider and have no interest going hard on the blacktop. There's also a personalised setting called rider mode where you can pre-program traction control and ABS settings.
You've been running through my mind, and I've been thinking that it's just about time we get together.
10.5 hours, 650k. So starting to get a good appreciation of what this bike is as an adventurer. And let's start with the standing position. The bars are a little bit forward, so they're perfect when you're standing. So the ratio between the foot pegs, or the relationship between the foot pegs and the hand grips is brilliant, and I could stand all day. But there's one limiting factor, and it's those pegs. I need wider pegs and I need longer pegs. Now, I don't know yet if Triumph do an accessory for that, but I'm sure you could get accessories for that. But let's keep going through the standing position, because the TFT screen is set up for it. The windshield, when you put the windshield high, it takes the pushing feeling, so you're not being pushed back all the time. If I had wider pegs, I could stand on this all day. In terms of how the bike handles when you're standing on the pegs, it's outstanding. It really likes that, and you can really hook into corners, and I just feel at home standing on the bike. So well done Triumph for getting that sorted, because you know, it just makes adventure riding so much better. The seated position, seat is excellent. I think we've been in the saddle probably 6 hours today, and we're in the saddle, I don't know, 8 hours yesterday. And this saddle is just excellent. You could sit on that all day. Seated position is good. I've kept the seat low. Now I can alter that. I can bring that up or down, I think 20 millimeters really easily. But I've actually put it on the slow setting, so on the low setting. So when I get into tricky stuff, I can just put my feet down really easily. But when I'm standing up, it doesn't affect that at all. Getting back to the standing position, this is narrow here, right where you want it to be when you're standing, and that's excellent. And when you're sitting, brilliant seat. Took a little while to get used to the handlebars. I feel like I'm being pulled a little bit forward, but I got used to that, and it makes you sit up straight when you're riding. The screen is amazing, very easy just to push it up or down. At the moment I've got it in the high setting. It's been raining occasionally, and you know, it's just been banging the rain straight over my head.
These little tiny winglets, you know, Clubby and I have a bit of a joke about winglets, but they seriously make a difference. And I've got this beautiful cocoon of still air here. I'm still getting enough through my helmet, but it just makes riding a breeze. Apart from that, all the ergos, the clutch, the brakes, all that work well. Rear brake has really good feel. It has a depth to it. It's not just on off. You press it a little bit and you can feel it coming on, and then you can really lock it up if you want to. So it's great feel on the rear brake. The quick shifter is excellent. A little bit clunky between first and second. I don't know many quick shifters that aren't. And once you get over about 40 k's, and the second to third and all the rest are silky smooth, be it up or down. And that's a great addition to the bike, particularly when you're standing. Clutch is cable operated, but again, it's reasonably light, doesn't bother me, and you got the quick shifter anyway. Now, front brake is amazing. I mean, I'm kind of using 2 fingers, but I could use 1. It's just a little bit more comfortable. So powerful, so predictable. Information I'm getting as I'm riding along through the TFT screen, I just can easily flick through it. Mileage, fuel economy, distance to empty, all that's coming up for me. Yeah, so just a good package. If I was buying this bike, I'd have a smaller tank bag. This is a Fandango Pro. I think I'd take the smaller offering from Giant Loop. I just find this is just pushing back a bit, and a little smaller would be good. Apart from that, yeah, I'm over the moon. The switch blocks on this bike are one of its strengths. Love the way the cruise control is activated very simply, on or off, or then you can just slowly alter it up or down. Daylight running lights as well as nighttime running lights. Love the way the heated grips are just activated by this button. 3 different heat levels just by pushing through and circulating through. This is the mode button, and from the mode button you activate whatever mode you want through here, and it's a great selector switch. The indicator switch can be programmed or manually operated. The button is easy to operate with gloves, with a clear and concise movement and feel. The handy centre stand comes standard with the bike. It's very useful for trail-side repairs, and it's easy to get the bike up and down from the stand. When I pushed the bike hard in the dirt, I didn't notice it flopping about. Seat height has 2 adjustment settings, with low being 20mm below high. It doesn't sound much, but the difference becomes very apparent in the video. For many riders, seat height is crucial in their purchase decision. The bike comes standard with a rock guard. I'm no engineer, but that's not going to protect the engine and exhaust if you bottom out the bike. I've noticed frame-mounted, properly constructed bash plates are out there. One of those would be my first purchase before taking this bike off-road. Crash bars are mounted directly to the engine. I'm not an engineer, and I have seen reports they protect at low speed falls, but I'm not too happy about that for the higher speed get-offs. I'm assuming that bolt shear and engine bracket mounting points bend. At the end of the day, it's a 200 kilogram plus bike, and if you bin it at speed, it's not going to be too pretty. The connectivity of the bike to devices is excellent and provides for headsets, music, phone, and even GoPro.
You've been running through my mind, and I've been thinking that it's just about time we get together,
Yeah, Triumph Tiger 900, very capable bike. I mean, you know, Victorian High Country is a place that really quickly shows any chinks in the armour of bikes that profess to say, you know, they're the best thing out there. But this bike does what it says on the packet. Tiger 900 Rally Pro, yeah, deserves the label, no doubt about it. It is an outstanding adventure bike. Outstanding engine, so relevant and useful in the dirt. It makes dirt riding fun. And then you've got the suspension that, you know, in this second day I've just got to appreciate so much better, and what it soaks up, and the harder you push it, the better it goes. And in the soft stuff, it gives you a great feel.
You've been running through my mind, and I've been thinking that it's just about time we get together.
So you've seen my review of the Triumph Tiger. Now, at no stage have I had a look at your questions. I just know there's a lot of them. And now it's time to answer your questions. I haven't looked at them before the start of this video, just so you get my initial straight out first response from your question. So let's get started. Dr. Sober, it looks like the crash bars mount to the engine. Any thoughts on the risk of cracking a case when the bike comes to rest on them? Is this also the same with the KTM 1290, in which case you have to wonder what the engineers were thinking? Well, the first thing I've got to say is I'm not an engineer, but yes, the crash bars do mount to the engine, and it does make me feel uncomfortable. I don't know if there's any other solutions out there at the moment. What I've seen in some internet reports is people have fallen over at slow speed and it hasn't been a problem. Like you, I guess, what's it going to be like in a high speed crash, you know, maybe 20 or 30 kilometers an hour and one of those awkward get-offs. I'd also make mention that that's not a bash plate underneath this bike. I mean, when you kick it, it moves. All it is a stone guard. And it's funny, you know, for a bike with this wonderful suspension and brilliant engine and brilliant handling, like in Australia, Australians are going to push this hard and they're going to need an aftermarket or some other reinforced bash plate. Ryan, I've been patiently waiting for you to ride one of these. I'm a month away from getting mine. I've had my eye on them for over a year now. I've seen some people mention how dirty the air filter can get from off-roading, and I'm sure specifically following another, when specifically following another rider, not only will you get a centre circular focus dirty filter, but also an obvious layer of dirt in the intake pass in the filter. It's prompted some to add a pre-filter. Can you monitor your air filter and intake manifold throughout the ride and share what you have found? Thank you. Ryan, the weather gods weren't good for us to do what you've asked, and I've got the bike here still now. I could easily do that. It just poured down rain. We didn't have any dust at all, so I don't think it's worth doing. What I would say to you is with many of these mid-range bikes, pre-filters have come the norm now. That's just part of the deal, and they're very effective. I've got one on my Yamaha T700 and it works well, and I've also got one on my Husky. So unfortunately I can't answer that question. Barnsley Bob, awesome, can't wait to hear your views on this bike. I own one but sold it out to fund my addiction to classic Japanese sports bikes. Oh dear, mate. Yeah, I'm not a road rider, so I just don't even understand Japanese sports bikes. But this bike is a cracker. It's a great bike. I think you made a mistake there, Bob. Fueler, looking forward to this next test. I ride a 2016 Tiger XC, and my next bike will be the 900 Rally Pro. Yeah, Fueler, you're going to see a huge amount of difference between the bike you've got and this one, and you'll see that from the video. It's just it's a complete rebuild of the bike, and what they've designed is far more dirt oriented and very capable, and just a pleasure to ride. Devran Ules Durkali, would love to see the Torque RPM charts comparison between Rally Pro and Africa Twin. Devran, that's what I call pixel peeking or spec checking. I'm really not into that. You can find that information that's sourced on the web, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to help you with that. I try not to read too many specifications on bikes. Yeah, I'll look at them after I've ridden the bike, but yeah, I think you're going to have to do your homework. Right, I'd love to know if you would prefer this over your T7 after you ride and review, of course. I think, now, the most important thing you've got to recognise right off the bat is this is at a much higher price point than the Yamaha T7 standard. And this is not, it's not a fair comparison. This is not the standard. This is the top of the range. And Yamaha have deliberately made the Yamaha T7 accessible. What would probably be a better comparison is the Rally Pro that is yet to come out. This bike is a superior handling bike, there's no doubt about it, but you're paying for that. I mean, this has closed cartridge front forks and they're amazing, as is the rear suspension. The Yamaha suspension is nowhere near as good as this, but nor should it be at the price point it's at. In terms of the engine, of course, it's got more power. It's 900 cc's. I love the engine delivery on the T7. Yeah, it's. I know you like to you guys not try to trap me in as which is best. I'm gonna divert on this one. There's some very good reasons why you can't compare. I'm completely happy with my T700. Am I going to sell it? No, I'm not. But this is an outstanding bike, and for those new in the market now, and there's such a plethora of great mid-range bikes out there at the moment, I think this is one that you definitely need to ride and definitely need to have a look at. All right, maintenance intervals. This is from Coach Ron. The number one thing I hated about my Ducati Desert Sled was the continuous annual service lights that come on. It forces you to take it back to the dealer to clear the code and charge for the scheduled maintenance. Yeah, Coach Ron, I think that's just par for the course for the new range of bikes. Nothing came on this bike, and I think you really need to be talking to long-term users to get an appreciation of that. Okay, Richard Fly Wills. Be very interested in seeing your review on this thing. Looking for something pillion friendly that can do big kilometres and road and be handy off-road when I'm alone. Look, I think this bike is a cracking bike for that purpose. The only thing I'd say, and for those riders that have female partners, is seats are an interesting thing for women. Some seats do not work and are quite uncomfortable for them. And what I'd be strongly recommending is before you made a purchase, you would get your partner, if she's female, on the back of this bike and let her experience what it's like. There only has to be a slight angle forwards on the seat, and women in particular become quite uncomfortable. Having said that, you've got your own independent rear heated seat with this, and you can control the heat to the back. Okay, Stuart Mottram. Will it be the factory lowered unit so short riders can get an idea of performance in the rough terrain? No, Stuart, it's the standard Triumph Tiger Rally Pro. The only thing I'd say is the seat. I've lowered the seat. You can lower it 20 millimetres, and I lowered it, and I thought that was a good idea. Would you change your T7 for this bike? I own the T7, so I'm looking forward for your input. If I was up for a new bike now, and I'm not, I love my T7, but if I was up, this would be a bike that I would seriously look at after the experience. I mean, I've ridden a number of new mid-range models out. This one's been out a couple of years. There's just a couple of areas where, some of those newer bikes have it, particularly with traction control. The last 12 months, traction control has raised to another level, and I've talked about that before on other reviews. On some bikes, it's become almost intuitive. It's that good. This traction control on this bike is just below that. But it depends. If you're a motorcycle purist, you should be like me. You just turn the stuff off anyway, and then just feel the bike for what it is, and it's bloody brilliant. Right, Dave DeCosman. My question is this: can you please tell my mate Steve that even though his CF Moto 800 is the same spec and 10 grand cheaper, my Tiger 900 Rally Pro is twice the bike and a bit more, and he is a subsequent tight ass for thinking otherwise. Had mine for a year now with no troubles and love the thing. Interesting you raise CF Moto. I think we do a test on that in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, interesting point you make. And every now and again in the motorcycle industry, a bike comes along that really shakes the market.
And it will be interesting, you know, that 10 grand price difference is enormous. And it will be interesting how motorcycle riders see the value. Is that value for money? My view on this bike is, you know, it's in its, you know, mid-20s to buy in Australia, mid-20,000s. This is good value, and it's very competitive with the other bikes at that level, and certainly got the specifications to prove it. K Plaques. I feel these are underrated bike by sales and how many you actually see out there. They seem like they'd be good off-road and as good off or all-road as the T7 or 890 AR. Subtle differences aside, are the Rally Pros softer than the T7 or 890, or are they just don't get the love they deserve? Unequivocally, I mean, I haven't even seen a Tiger 900 out in the bush, and I don't know why. I'm like you, I don't think they get the love they deserve. The suspension on this bike is far superior to the standard T7 suspension, and I've talked about one of the reasons is the price difference. In terms of the 890 suspension is a level above. It's a pity. I really wanted to push this bike and jump it like I normally jump bikes, but with that very flimsy stone guard, I was just terrified of tearing the sump out of the bike, and I just wasn't going to do it. My sense is, after pushing the suspension pretty hard, it's very, very good. And the overwhelming majority of riders would love this suspension. You know, okay, the 890 Adventure R is right up there and without question the best off-road suspension out there from my perspective. This is a little way behind, but not too far. And for the overwhelming majority of riders, it's perfect. Okay, Stephen Thompson, fuel range and seat comfort for long hauls as opposed to the CB500XA. Oh, that's chalk and cheese comparison there, Steve. Beautiful to sit on, and you'll see my Ergos discussion. Extremely comfortable and brilliant. Fuel range is decent. I'm going to hold back on that because I just haven't done the final calculation. When I was really hammering the bike, it got up to, I think, 5.5 or 5.6 litres per 100 Ks. But then when that started averaging out, that dropped, and I think it got down to around the low fives. So for 20 litres, you know, it's a 20 litre tank. So, you know, you're looking at a roughly, you know, 400 kilometres range. But I think if you give it a lot of gas and you're on it in the bush, I think you'd start getting fuel anxiety around, I don't know, 320 kilometres. Right. Bob Drakeford. Bob, I'd like your opinion about ride mode, rally and rally pro. Does the rally have any benefits? Do you find the triple engine performance? Bob, I think you mean off-road pro and off-road. Bob, I talk about that in detail in the review. My view is off-road pro is perfect for me, and that takes out all traction control and turns off the ABS at the rear wheel and just makes it a little more controllable for the front. The off-road mode, I'm not happy with, and I think it's because I'm spoilt because I've ridden the latest tech and traction control has become so much more sophisticated than what's on this bike for that off-road mode. But nevertheless, I think for most people it'd be good. I'm a dirt-oriented rider and I ride relatively quickly in the dirt. All right, okay, Plaques, how light do they feel being thrown around, say, Yengo Fire Trail compared to a range of other adventure dirt bikes? So the DR650, T7 GS 1250. Okay, well, I can kind of give you that. I don't think this is as top heavy as a standard T700. I think it holds its weight low. But then again, you know, I haven't got the weight with me at the moment. It's 230 kilograms at a guess, and I'll correct that at the conclusion of this video. You know, they're all heavy. Anything over 200 kilograms is heavy. If it lands on you, it's heavy. It's going to, squash you. So it's quite funny, I saw another comment from a guy today. He said, this weight business is all crap. The best way to lose weight on a motorbike is lose weight yourself. And at the moment, I'm 8 kilos heavier than I was, 6 months ago. And it's a good point. I mean, most middle-aged Australian adventure riders, go and have a look at them. That bunch is carrying a heap of beef. There's a 15 or 20 kilos on most of them. So, yeah, it's a good point. On the paper, the Tiger has a steeper head angle, more torque, more horsepower, shorter wheelbase and more suspension travel than the T7. It should feel like a sharper bike, but it really means nothing until you ride it. How does it feel compared, arguably, the best bang for buck bike, the T7? Is it more nimble? Gee, that's a difficult question. My view on it is it feels more nimble than the T700. But nimble is an interesting thing. Nimble doesn't necessarily mean better. I love the handling of the T7, and it's great again for steering with the rear wheel. So what your observations are correct, Don McAvoy, and it is, when I first got on it and I started riding it slowly, I thought, gee, that's really very responsive in the slow stuff, and in the quick stuff it turned well as well. So I mean, they're both excellent handling bikes, but for different reasons. Scott Cornick, is it the perfect all-rounder? I think it's getting pretty close. I mean, the things that weren't quite perfect for me, the foot pegs, you need wider foot pegs, that's just an accessory. You need a decent aftermarket bash plate if you're going to have any fun in Australia. And the only thing that's a little bit irritating for me is with the traction control settings, off-road modes to road, you've got to stop the bike, change from off-road to road or vice versa, and that's a bit of a pain in the butt. I mean, most systems these days, modern systems in 2022, now have that on the fly. All right. Steve Corlett says, look forward to this. Rider Guider, do we need all the tech and all the bling? Is it too much of a limousine to be mixing it with the Tenere and KTM? Too beautiful to risk dropping. I nearly bought one, but that put me off. Was a lack of confidence in warranty, supply and dealer in Adelaide is lacking, to say the least. Yamaha got my dollars. Okay. Do we need all the tech and all the bling? Well, I'm a riding purist, so I'd say no. But having ridden this for a fair distance, I actually appreciated and used most of the bling on this bike. I like the heated seats. I like the heated grips. The cruise control is brilliant on this bike and saves you getting a ticket. The highway patrol are just waiting on those highways for you to go over the speed limit. So I like the daylight lights. I like the heated seats. I don't mind the bling, but then again, I don't mind just getting on something that's more like a trail bike. As for warranty and all that support stuff, I have no knowledge of that, and that's something you need to look up in the internet sites. What's it like to pick up after a drop? I don't know. Fortunately, I didn't drop it. I would imagine it wouldn't be too bad to pick up. Simply because the way the crash bars are that lift it a little bit, take it past that low point, but I think that should be good. Worth the money to upgrade from my 2016 XCX. That's from Hans P. Unequivocally, yes, on that point, Hans. It's a great bike. Daryl O'Keefe, value for money. I'm sure it's a nice ride, but is it worth the price of admission? Look, the price of admission in any of these mid-range bikes that have been up-spec'd is around the mid-20s in Australia, mid-20,000s in Australia. It's worth the price of admission. It's certainly competitive, and as I said, in terms of the level of benefit on this bike, to say the T7, it's quite significant. But then again, you get what you pay for. The T7 is much more basic bike. It's a purist bike if you want. Quality compared to a Honda Africa Twin. The the Triumph have spent a lot of time on improving quality, and that tells in this bike. I don't think there's any difference at all. Might have been a few years ago, but Triumph have lifted their game significantly. Is it better than a KTM 890? Well, it depends. I mean, the KTM 890 Adventure is without doubt, I think, the most off-road capable bike that's out there at the moment. But again, it's much more dirt oriented, and it's got a suspension system that's superior to this. But to say it's better, no, it's not. I really enjoyed riding this. I reckon 98% of riders can't get out what the Adventure KTM has got to offer. I think there's a bit of, I don't know, wank factor in that. Yeah, my view is that this is it better than the 890? Well, in some ways it is, and some ways it's not. At the end of the day, you guys have to decide, and what I've always said to you is, do not buy a bike without riding it first and seeing if it fits with how you ride. Did you know that in China they just started the new year and it's the year of the tiger? Well, Mr. Boo Boo, thanks for that. And that's a wonderful way to finish the questions. The year of the tiger, and here we are riding a Triumph Tiger. Thanks so much for your questions. Our next bike for review, well, there's two bikes. I have a quick ride on a Ducati Multistrada if you want to ask me some questions on that. I think I've only on it for about a day. But the next decent ride is with the Nordens, the Husqvarna Nordens, later in the year around April. And there's a first there. Nugget's doing his first review on a bike, on a motorbike. So I look forward to that. I'm not going to put words in his mouth. Whatever comes out of his mouth, that's what we'll say. So, and that's what you'll see. So I look forward with that. He's a bit overawed by that, but I have faith in him. He's been around bikes a million years, and I think he'll have a lot of good things to offer.
You've been running through my mind, and I've been thinking that it's just about time we get together. Come on.
Now, I indicated to my viewers that I was going to ride the Tiger Triumph Rally Pro, and this is the bike I'm going to ride back to Sydney. And in a moment, Cliffy's going to talk to me about it and just introduce me to the bike. But yeah, really excited to ride this, and you are too. I haven't seen as many viewer questions about a bike than this Triumph. There's been a really good reaction to it, so I look forward to hearing from Cliffy and just getting an intro, because the last time I rode one of these was 10 or 12 years ago, and a lot's changed, Cliffy.
Yeah, lots changed. The evolution of the Tiger 800 back in 2010, which was a 3-cylinder 800cc normal, Triumph 3-cylinder engine. They've since evolved from there to 800cc with ride-by-wire for Euro 4 emissions.
Right.
They evolved to better suspension, in different things. Now we're into the Tiger 900,
Yeah.
which now is not only capacity, but it has a T-plane crank and a different firing order. So instead of 1, 2, 3, it's 3, 2, or 3, 1, 2. And what that does, like the Yamaha Big Bang or anything like that, better bottom and mid-range. And that's what the dirt bike riders wanted. So when they go single tracking,
Yep.
that they've got a little better response down the bottom and around the mid-range instead of the old 800 like you usually really screamed on top, didn't it?
Yes.
And this does as well. Don't get me wrong, it hasn't dropped any power.
Yeah.
It just delivers it differently.
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest improvement in the Tiger 900, besides the new wheels, the new suspension, and all the rest of the stuff that goes along with it. So, and then the TFT dash and all the gadgetry that goes along with that, which we're about to go through.
Yes. No,
Yeah.
looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's
Okay.
have. And you've given me some new tyres, some Karus.
Yeah, Metzler Karus.
Yeah, great tyre
so
for what
they're-
we're doing.
Yeah, very perfect tire for what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
That is a factory-approved off-road tire from Triumph.
Yeah.
Along with the Pirelli
Rally.
Scorpions.
Yep.
But we chose these because you guys are going to be doing a bit of road as well.
Yeah.
And Probably, as you know, can't
That's
get them
right.
right now. You know, so key is up here,
Yep.
and like any key, on and off. And then
Yep.
you want to lock steering,
Yeah.
turn the bars to the left, and lock steering.
Yep.
Now, to get underneath the seat, key,
Yep.
that removes the rear seat. And these are heated seats, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so they're heated seats, so they're plugged in.
Yep.
Okay, they're like we just showed you on the Scrambler. There's your phone cover, phone
Oh,
case.
you're kidding me.
So you can put your phone right in there.
Nice and,
And
is that
then
waterproof?
USB.
Yeah.
It is
look,
water
it's
resistant.
water resistant. Okay. Well, that's
Nothing-
better than nothing.
Nothing is waterproof. When the minute we say waterproof, somebody goes and sinks it in a river.
Yeah.
You know, and then
3 meters under and wonders
I don't know why I was looking at you when it said that.
Yeah. I noticed you turned straight towards me. Someone dumps it in a river.
Or down the side of a hill. Remember old man on the Tiger?
Oh, how big was that? That was a 4-wheel drive to drag him back up. Remember that?
Yeah. That was fantastic. The only reason we even found him is because you corner marked.
Well, that was it, mate. He
Yeah.
was Gonski over
He
the
was
edge.
gone over the edge.
Yeah.
And we would have just rode right by.
Yeah,
If it
never
wasn't
known.
for you.
Yeah, never have known. He'd still be out there freezing to death, wouldn't he?
Exactly. So that's your phone charger.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep.
And then to get the front seat off, you simply just pull back.
Pull back and lift.
Right. Now the front seat,
I was going to say, has it got...
it's adjustable.
Ah, great.
So you can move it 20 mil up or down.
Yeah.
All right. And you can just pull these things
Yeah.
and move them
Right.
to adjust the front seat.
If there was one question
down
I'm
your height.
always asked by audiences is how you can adjust the seat. So it's really important, seat height on these bigger
Oh
bikes.
yeah. Especially guys like myself who are
Yeah.
vertically challenged.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't have the legs. You know, so it's nice to have the low seat height for that.
Yeah.
So when I just moved that there now,
Oh, wow.
you go to put the seat back in.
Yep.
Now that is up real high. You see,
Yes.
see
Yep.
the difference where you just
Yes.
put that table before.
Yep.
And to lower it, it comes down into
Down to
that
there.
area, down there.
Yeah, that's a good 20 mil,
Now,
isn't it?
where would you like it for yourself?
I'll have it where it is. That's all right, I think.
High, okay.
Oh, no, actually, let's drop it down. Let's drop it down low.
Yep.
Until I get
think,
used-
I think low is a good way to start out
Yeah.
for the, especially on the road.
Yes.
You can
Yeah,
find
that's
it
what
a
I was
little more
thinking.
comfortable,
Yeah.
and then a little more sure-footed in the traffic and stuff.
Yes.
So when you move those
Yeah,
like
just
that,
while I get used to it.
yeah, and see a little tab there
Yep.
that
Yep.
goes underneath that bar there,
Yep. And
and these rubber bars here just sit right up against that, and then when you lock this into place,
yep.
it then holds
Everything.
the front seat in.
Yeah. Beautiful. Excellent.
Your rear heated seat switch
Yep.
is there.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so your passenger can do that
All right. On the way, on the
the
fly.
way or whatever.
Yeah.
So you've got off, you've got low, and you've got
too
high.
Yeah.
And it displays on the dash.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll show you more about that. Yeah, on your front heated seat grip, front heated seat
Yeah.
is up here.
Yes. Okay.
All right, so you see the little seat marker there.
Yeah.
And then this little button here is for your driving lights.
Right. Beautiful.
We'll go through more of that in a minute here.
Yep.
Okay. Now, key on. Unlike Clubby's bike, which is keyless, you've got a key, which I prefer.
Yeah.
Now I'll go to this side, and you stand
Yeah.
on that side.
Yeah.
Now you can see you got your big plasma screen up the front.
Yeah.
It is literally just,
Oh wow.
unbelievable and displays very clearly. Andy, did you fill these up?
Yes.
Okay, they just haven't been ridden. So the gauges aren't read. So every time you fill a Triumph up,
Yeah.
all right, and you disconnect the battery, or you do a download into the ECU or something like that, the fuel gauge won't read
Right.
until you go for a ride.
Right. And then it.
And then it will calculate how much fuel is in there, and it will then adjust the fuel gauge the way it needs to be.
Right.
The reason it's got to do that is it's got to calculate kilometers to empty.
Yes.
So it's got to know.
Yes.
And it's got to figure all that out before it can then turn that
Yep.
gauge on.
Yep.
Okay? So, just like Clubby, we'll go back into this button in a little bit more. But just like what I was saying on Clubby, this button here is very important.
Yeah.
And to remember that there's 4 actuations here.
Right.
A, B, C, and D. So we'll call A. Oh no, this one here is only 3 actions.
Yeah.
That's kill button off, kill button on, and then start. But like all Triumphs, you have to pull the clutch in
Right,
before
to
the
start.
starter will
Yep.
work.
Yep.
So that's only 3 button on that one. And we're here on this side. Quite a bit happening.
Yeah, I was looking.
Heated grips.
Yes.
So, and that'll display on the dash as well.
Oh, that's a handy little
See,
button there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's right on the grip.
Yeah.
See your heated grip
Yes.
signal there?
Yeah.
And you got
Off. Yeah.
off,
Yep.
hot,
Yeah.
medium.
Oh,
low.
that's a great.
3 different. Same
Yep.
thing while I've got the dash on.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
just use this one.
Yeah.
Your heated seat.
Yeah.
See there?
Yep.
Now, if you just turn that back one on,
Yeah.
just to one of them, you'll see
Yeah.
it lights up there as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, and then I
Right,
can
so-
turn it back that way.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's
and
off from there. Yep.
And so on. So everything displays on the dash. And same thing with the driving lights. So we have to run the bike to do that. That's your daytime running light.
Yeah.
That's your headlight. Good. When you're on daytime running lights and you want to flip the high beam, that's what you
Off the
use
front,
that
yeah.
passing switch for. When it's in regular headlight, hit that button, that's your high beam. Okay? And then, so we turn it on.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
you're on regular light. Okay? Now up here, again, I'll go on the other side. Leave it powered on, but I'll shut the engine off so it doesn't
Yeah.
noisy. Fuel gauge says low.
Yep.
As soon as you go off and ride, that'll change.
Yes.
All right, and then neutral, we got a heated seat on somewhere.
Up there. Yeah. There you go. Yep.
Okay. You can change this display, by the way, which
Yep.
we're about to we'll go into, and all that. You got an engine light which will come on.
Yep.
When you start the bike.
Yep.
Until you start the bike, it should go off.
Yep.
Oil light should go off.
Yes.
Everything should go off. The only thing, and the ABS light is blinking.
Yes. Until
All
you get
and
moved
then as soon
forward.
as you get going forward, that should
Yep.
go out.
Yep.
If it doesn't go out and it stays on, your ABS is
is
not
off.
operational.
Yes.
All right, which will show you when you put it into off-road mode, it'll sometimes light up that day. And then low fuel light.
Yeah,
and
that'll
all
go
that
away.
stuff.
Yep.
Again, just like on the other one, this little button here.
Yep.
Okay, this little button here is your riding mode.
Yes.
So you bring that up and it all displays right there.
Yeah.
So you got sport,
Yep.
off-road,
Yep.
off-road pro,
Yep.
rider, which I'll show you how to program that,
Yep.
rain mode and road, so on and so forth. You just keep going around. When you find the one you want,
Yeah.
push the little joystick right here
Yep.
in, that locks it in, and then you're in that mode.
Yeah. So that's this joystick there.
Yeah, they just
Yep.
push that straight in.
Okay.
Now because there is that rider mode,
Yeah, that's a good setting, isn't it?
that's a good setting because there's a lot of unnecessary crap, really,
To
when
go
you
through,
can
yeah.
program it for you to get on it and ride it
Yeah.
the way you like. So if you want to program rider mode, you push this button here.
Yep.
All right. Well, this is while we're here. We'll give you. This is the different styles of which you can change the dash. So that's style 4.
Yep.
We'll put it in style 2.
Yep.
And you can see it changes the whole look of the
Just-
dash.
Yep.
Yeah. So now we go into riding
Rating
mode.
modes. Yep.
All right. Push that in.
Yep.
Rider mode.
Yep.
So rider
So-
mode, ABS. We got road. Which ABS you can't now in Euro 5 bikes. You cannot in any way, shape, or form shut the ABS off.
Off. Right.
On all the time. However, for you to get rid of it, you put it in off-road pro.
Oh. Yeah.
All right, or or just off-road, and then it limits its intrusion
Intrusion,
and all that.
yes, yeah.
What it'll do is give you
Yes.
none on the back. You still have a little
Yes,
bit of ABS
it's
up
on
the
the front,
front,
yeah.
so you can ride it as a
But the traction control these days, Cliffy, are pretty damn good, isn't it?
pretty damn good. That's
It's-
right. Pretty good. So you
The
go
last
into-
two years, it's really improved.
Oh yeah, they used to be really intrusive. You get into the track, the bike would just die.
Yeah, it's gone
You know,
now.
It doesn't do that anymore.
No.
You know, and so anyway, you go there,
Yep.
and then you go down to using your joystick here.
Yep.
Go down to map.
Yep.
Select the map. We'll go
Yep.
to
Off-road for me. Yep.
off-road
Yep.
there, and then you go to traction control.
Yep.
All right, and we'll go into off-road.
Right. Yes, please.
So what that does is give you traction control, all right, on the rear. That lets you hang the rear end out.
Yes.
You know, it's a rear wheel slide and all that sort of thing.
Yep.
And very little intrusion.
Yep. Yep.
On the traction control. If you have the traction control on road, and you go to slide the S in or
Yeah, it
wheel
won't-
stand,
no, won't
then,
do it.
you know, then of course you. Now the traction control. So that's your riding mode. So you've got all those programmed.
Yep.
We'll set those all in. So now when you shut the bike off and turn it back on, all you do is go.
Yeah, so the bike
The
starts.
bike
in
will
a-
start in road mode,
Mode,
right?
yep.
Okay, 'cause it's telling you there.
Yep.
But all you do is go here and select
Rider mode, and bang.
rider mode.
And
Push
bam.
a little button in.
Yep.
And all those program settings that you put in there
Oh,
are now
locked
there.
in. Yeah.
Okay?
Excellent. Excellent.
So there's the other different styles of dash.
Yeah.
So I'll let you have a play with those and see
Yep.
which one you like best.
Yeah. Kind of like that first one actually.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but so as well as in that, and you can go into bike setup.
Yep.
Okay, in
Yep.
bike setup, you can go into TSA, which is traction control. You can go in there
Yep.
and disable it completely.
Oh, really? Okay.
Alright, so
Oh,
that way
that's
you
good.
can wheel stand it. You can do
Yes.
whatever.
Yep.
So you can disable or enable traction control
Right.
in
Okay.
bike settings. You have to do that manually.
Yes.
And you have to do that when the bike is at a standstill.
Right.
Because the wheels have to sync once you take off.
Right. Okay.
All right, so you can't do that on the fly.
No.
You can change your map
On the fly. Yep.
but not anything that changes ABS or traction control settings.
Right.
You can't do that. You got to do that at standstill.
Yep.
Okay. So then we'll go back. We'll go back to the indicators. All right. You got auto basic, which are auto basic indicators. Auto advanced, which is self-canceling.
Yep.
And then you got manual and all that. So
Yeah.
the auto advance, basically what that is, when you put in an
Yeah.
auto advance, which is the one I prefer, is
It turns them
there.
off after 15
well, yeah.
seconds
So
or
if you
something.
do one quick button,
Yeah.
it flashes. That's a lane change.
Yep.
Flashes 2 or 3 times,
Yeah.
and then goes out. If you hold it for a little while, it turns your turn signal on until you go around the corner, 60 meters, and then automatically cancels the turn
Right.
signal.
Okay.
Okay, so I like the auto advance because of the lane change thing.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, it works extremely well.
Yep.
Okay. Back to bike setup.
Yep.
Anytime you choose this home button,
Yeah.
you then
Select.
run
from
the
here.
menu
Yeah.
by this little joystick.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So bike setup, we've done all that time and
Yep.
traction control, and this for your service.
Yep.
Okay. And then trip setup. Trip 1, trip 2, trip 2 display. The reason those are there is you can choose where you want to display them on the dash.
Oh, right.
So
Okay.
you can sort of customize the dash to read many different ways. Have a play,
Yep.
you know, have it set up. You know, you can have trip meter. You can have 1 trip meter showing or 2 trip meters showing. Trip 2 display. You can change it around and
Yep.
all that. When in doubt of where you're here,
Yep.
when in doubt, you know, you get lost in there.
Yeah. Just keep pressing that
Push
one.
home button.
Yeah, and it comes home.
and it comes back.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you like that first display, we'll go to bike. We'll go to bike setup. Wait for it to power
Sorry.
up.
Yep.
We'll go to bike setup.
Yep.
Oh, didn't bring up the display yet. Okay. We'll turn it off back on. There's your
Yep.
your odometer. Your odometer comes up here when you first turn the key on for just a few seconds and then goes out.
Yeah.
It doesn't constantly display the odometer.
Yep.
And then back to that. See, we've got it in rider mode, and bike will start in road mode, and then you
Yeah.
just go rider, in. You can see that between your traction control,
Yep.
all that. We'll go back up there to your display. Down. And then your cruise control is here.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
Cruise control is there.
Yep.
So just when you get going, you're going to be in third gear, going at least 60 kilometers an hour.
Yes.
Just push set
Yep.
and then resume if you pick it
And then
up.
you just get down, kick it up.
To
Yep.
click to,
Yep.
to click it, anything to turn it off would be either pull the clutch in,
Yes. Yeah.
front or
Brake.
rear brake,
Brake.
shifter,
Yep.
anything
Yep.
like
Yep.
that,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
all
And
that
off
sort
it
of
goes. Yep.
it all goes off automatically.
Yep.
But then you can hit, if you've got it set at a certain kilometers, then you can just hit resume, just like in your car.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
no different, you know.
No, it's a very simple one. We've
Yeah.
seen some more complex ones on bikes
Yeah, no,
recently.
it's just
That's-
one
yep.
button deal.
It's great.
All right, we'll just turn this on so we can get this display to go back to where it was. I don't know why I won't do that for me. Setup.
Let's turn off that. Yeah. That's... Okay. Fire away.
Okay, so bike setup.
Yeah.
You go into bike setup,
Yep.
and you go down to Bluetooth.
All right. Yep.
Okay, and then you can
Music
select the
devices.
call, music,
Yeah.
devices. That would be your
Yeah. Headset.
headsets or anything along those lines.
Yeah.
And you got your corner-to-corner navigation,
Yep.
which unfortunately right now on the Tiger 900
Yep.
does not work with an Apple phone.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so Apple hasn't come to the party.
Yeah.
They use Google Maps.
Yes. Okay.
Google and Apple don't get along,
Right.
so they're making it very tough on Triumph
To get it
get
through.
the right software and IPs addresses and
Yeah,
all
okay.
that sort of thing in order to make. So right now, we're waiting for a software update. You can get music and phone and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
You have to download the Triumph app onto your phone.
Yep.
And then you can pair to the Bluetooth, and then you can use it.
Yep.
But,
on your phone. Yep.
But you don't need to go down that track. Notifications and then name of the Bluetooth unit.
Yep.
If you're
Yeah, okay,
if you're
yep.
enabling it or whatever you're doing.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll go back here.
Yep.
Back to display setup, Bluetooth reset to default. So I'm just going to push that
Yep.
and confirm,
Confirm.
which sets back everything. It's a three-cylinder 900 with a T-plane crossfire crank.
Yep.
So it's got a different firing order for the old Tiger 800. It fires 3-1-2 instead of 1-2-3, which gives it better bottom and mid-range torque as well as drivability down in low RPM range. But it hasn't hurt any of the top end. You know, it still goes quite well on top. The brakes are Brembo Stylema brakes, so you'll see them on every sport bike, super bike. So
Yeah.
amazing brakes on these bikes on all the new Triumphs.
Yep.
And it's a Brembo single piston caliper on the rear,
Yep.
and these are all ABS. And this has on corner traction control as well.
Right.
Okay, so on corner traction control means that when you're tipped over in no corner
Yep.
and you got handfuls of brakes, it doesn't stand the bike up.
Right.
Now, it
Oh,
gives
wow.
you what brake power you need at that time.
Yes.
You can't lock it up. You can't
Yes.
do any of that. All you can do is you need to trust the bike.
Yes.
You know, and believe me, you cannot force yourself to squeeze that front brake lever hard enough to try it because it's just not in our DNA.
Yes.
You know, to tell you to go 100 kilometers an hour down this concrete path there
Yeah.
and grab a handful of front brake.
Yeah.
You can't force yourself to do it, can you?
No,
Yeah.
no.
So same thing with on corner traction control and ABS. It does what it does. It's a fantastic product,
Yep.
and it makes a not so good rider better
Better
rider.
rider, yeah.
And then you got pro riders like Clubby.
Yeah.
You know that that,
Did you hear that, Clubby? Pro rider?
Sorry? Huh?
Yeah, yeah.
that
yeah.
doesn't
Go
want
right.
that doesn't want that electronic
No.
interference.
Yeah.
So then you can get rid of most
Yes.
of it. However, on all the new Euro 5 stuff, you cannot shut the ABS
Yes. No.
off completely. You can shut the traction control off. You can shut all that, the rest of that off, but the ABS will always be on. You can put it into off-road mode in the ABS.
Yep.
And what that does is give you no ABS on the rear and ABS up the front.
So, suspension?
Suspension, okay,
What
which
sort
is-
of adjustment do we
Which is
have
all
on
shower
suspension?
suspension.
So it's shower.
All
Yep.
right, it's all shower suspension.
Yep.
Big piston shower.
Yep.
So up here is your single action forks.
Yep.
So you've got your big knob there, which is your compression.
Yes,
Or
yep.
your spring preload.
Yes.
And then you can see on there, and my eyesight is
Yep.
not as good. You can see one of them says tension.
Yes.
One of them says rebound. One of them says comp.
Right.
All
Okay.
right, so you put your compression the
Yep.
way you want it. Keep in mind that the more compression that you give it, all right, then you then have to adjust the
Just the-
tension, the rebound, in order to slow
Yeah.
it when you put it down. You put lots of compression into
No,
it,
you'll-
and it becomes a pogo stick.
Yeah.
You know, and then you got to put some rebound in there
Yeah.
in order to.
So rebound's on the other side, or
You tell
one
me.
side's compression, one side's
You
rebound?
tell me, I can't read it.
Yeah, I'd say
I
normally
can't read that
rebound's
one.
on the
My-
right.
My eyes aren't that good.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's rebound. Rebound on the right. Yep.
Yeah, rebound on the right and compression.
Yes.
Tension is what it says.
Yeah, tension, same.
Tension, yeah. That's the.
And
palm-
for
palm
rear,
one.
for a pannier, oh, you've got. I just noticed you've got
So-
a wind up
so
there.
For the wind up, for the preload,
Yeah,
all right, you just simply wind that
Yep.
up.
yeah, that's really
You wind
good.
it up by hand, which I think is the
Simplest way to do it.
Rally GT has electronic suspension and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of that, but it is what it is for the GT, which I think is more of a touring thing, and
Yeah.
a touring bike for that bike is fantastic.
Yeah.
But for this, just a quick turn of that, you
Yeah.
can do that while you're going down the road.
Yeah,
It's too soft for you. Reach down and crank her up.
yeah.
And then you've got
And then compression and rebound though, somewhere I'd imagine.
you've got that little
The screw down the bottom. Yep.
Your rebound is down there.
Yeah,
Little
yeah,
clicker
yeah,
down
yeah,
there.
yep.
So you just wind it up.
Yep. Oh, that's excellent. Good set of crash bars.
Good set of crash bars.
Yeah.
Removable pillion
Pegs.
rides if you don't.
Yep.
So if you've got panniers and
Yep.
blah blah blah, a lot of stuff on there, you don't need them. You don't use them. You can
Yep.
take them off.
Yeah, it comes.
Okay. Triumph Shift Assist.
Yes.
Okay. So that's
That's-
this little bad boy here.
Yes.
All right. Now, being an old school guy like me and you
Yep.
can shift this bike up and down with no clutch.
Right. Okay.
All right,
Yep.
So you just upshift and downshift, no clutch whatsoever. You only use the clutch to stop and to take off.
Yep.
I'm just gonna turn this key off so we don't
Yep.
kill the battery. It at low RPM, riding around low speeds
Yeah.
in the city, stuff like that.
Yep.
I find it you'll feel a little bit clunky,
Yes.
but not much.
Yes,
You can
yes.
see it. But when you get up on the highway and you're using it, it is
beautiful.
seamless.
Yeah.
It's seamless.
Yeah.
Absolutely the best thing going. I've sort of, I'm a mechanic, old school days, been doing this for a long time. And I have a mechanical sympathy. I've,
Yeah.
found myself where I really didn't want to use it.
Yeah, I'm the same, mate. I found
Yeah.
it very difficult when I first got.
We've all been upshifting bikes
Yeah, yeah.
without a clutch for a long time.
Yeah.
Downshifting is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
But you can do it with this bike.
Yeah.
So that's give it a go, and you'll probably find yourself using the clutch to downshift.
Yeah, I've got my
until
bike's
you
got a
get
quick
into-
shifter, so I'm used to them.
Until you get used to it, yeah. So that's all there.
Oh, right. That's looking
Again, the
good.
Michelin Karoo tires.
Yep.
Tire pressures on these, you guys should know enough to
Yep.
what you want to.
Yeah, they're at standard at the moment, which is good.
We've got them set at road
Yep.
road settings at the moment, so they'll be about 36, 34 at the moment, and then you can let them down to whatever you guys choose when you go off road.
Yeah. That's good. Well, you give me a comprehensive run over that bike, Cliffy. Excellent. Thanks, mate.
Okay, so that's hopefully that helps you.
Oh, no, that's brilliant. That's good.
Again, don't be afraid to push buttons.
No.
Don't be afraid to push buttons, and don't be afraid to have a go.
Yeah.
Because when in doubt,
Go
push the
home.
button, everything goes back. Go to
Yeah.
default, bang, starting all over.
Yeah.
You know,
Sounds good to
and,
me.
It's just that simple. So don't be afraid to have a play.
Yep.
The only thing I do warn you about is changing the language. Change it to a language you can understand. Otherwise,
Oh, seriously?
otherwise, yeah, you
We're
get
going to be
change
traveling
that.
in Spanish?
Yeah, and then you can't read it. You don't know what to go do. So, but again, you hit the home button on the other side.
Yeah,
Go to
get
bike
out.
setup, go to default settings.
Beautiful.
And the default setting is English.
Beautiful.
So,
Thanks, mate. Clubby's just about ready. I better start doing some work.
No, I've only got to start in the rebag now. Jeez. Palava, isn't it? Your luggage.
All right.
there
Hang
you
on,
go.
hang on. Well, just put him back.
Now put it up.
All
right
right,
down
okay.
So whilst you're riding,
Yeah,
and this is what's good about it,
yeah,
is you've got a bit of buffeting, you know. Blah, blah, blah,
yeah,
blah.
yeah.
Push out of the screen,
Yeah. Ah,
pull it up.
love it.
You know,
Love it. That's what I
you got
want.
4 different settings that it'll lock into.
Yeah,
You know, so yeah.
Simple,
so
though.
If you just start with it down,
yeah,
and then as you go down the road,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, just test your buffeting, see where you're comfortable. Move it up 1 notch at a time until you get what you want.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, these little diffusers that are on the side here create such a nice envelope.
We know. It's funny. We know about winglets. It's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
Clubby and I did a story on winglets
Yeah.
and their importance. Yeah.
Well, they are. You know, I mean, when you can have a great big screen.
Yeah, it
and
doesn't.
get all that, but all that does is fucking got to push through a lot of wind.
Yeah.
And a lot of air. Having this with the little diffusers and
Yeah.
all that sort of thing sort of takes away from having to have that huge screen.
No, that's excellent.
So that's
Nice
and
and simple.
They wanted to make it electric and all
No.
that sort of stuff like they did on the old 1200. And all
No.
that. I love this hand.
That's
adjustment
brilliant.
setup. It's just-
That's the best one I've ever seen.
and what's nice about it is you can do it while you're going down the road.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's great.
And, so it's great.
Excellent.
Okay. And believe it or not, that's legal TV. Now, it sounds really good. You can hear the difference. Remember your old Tiger? Remember the whine?
Yes.
Have it.
Beautiful.
Plenty of response.